Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today we're going to take a look at a question I've been getting asked a lot in my DMs and messages, and it is essentially, why will so-and-so not hire me, or how do I get so-and-so to hire me because the work they're currently using sucks? It is the million-dollar question that I think all of us have asked at one point or another in this career of photography. And I don't think there's one answer to basically rule them all when it comes to this. And that's what makes it difficult. So, who am I to answer this question? Except for y'all keep asking me to answer the question. So I figured I would make a video, and all I can go by is my experience in dealing with different clients through the years. I've been doing this for 25 years or so now, and I'm just going to kind of run through the different scenarios I've come across throughout this business, and just keep in mind that things are ever changing in this world of photography, and in some ways it's getting a lot more difficult, and for other people maybe it's getting easier. It just depends on kind of where you are within your career here. So let's just kind of run through. You might see me look down here, I've got a little bit of an outline to try to keep me on track. But I think the first thing you need to do is really evaluate your work. And is your work really that good? So if you haven't done it already, get it in front of some industry professionals, let them give you some honest feedback. You only have it kind of goes back to that saying, you have one chance at a first impression. So if you spend all this time trying to get in front of whoever it is you want to do work for, and your work might not be that much better than what they're using, you might not make the impression you want to make. So spend some time on the front end, make sure you're all buttoned down when it comes to the quality of your work, and so you're not wasting your time or their time and blowing a potential opportunity. The second, probably most important thing here is to make sure that you're marketing to the correct person, whether it's an agency or a team or a school. What you need to do is invest some time on the front end and make sure that you are kind of sending your stuff to, or trying to get on the phone or get a meeting with the right person. Instead of, I just feel like a lot of people are copping out and just trying to ask other people to do the work for them. And that's not how it works. And I can tell you from the onset. So for instance, if you're looking at an ad agency, you want to probably contact the creative directors or the producer. If you're looking at a team, it's probably somewhere in the marketing department, or they might have a creative department. If you're looking at a school, it could be in their marketing department, or it could be in their athletic department, their sports information department. So the key is just to make sure that you're doing your homework here, and you're investing time on the front end, so you're not wasting your time trying to get in touch with the wrong person the whole time. And it's not so easy. They don't have a listing in the directory, photographers, contact me if you want to do work for us. And because most of them don't want to hear from you. They are kind of set doing what they're doing, whether they are using photography or not. So it's up to us to present what it is that we can do to make their life better in a manner to where then they will give us an opportunity to do so. And that leads me into kind of the next category. And it's probably like a division of the two different types of scenarios you're going to run into. And that's where one group is not doing the type of thing that you're wanting to do for them. And then there's another group that is already doing it, and they kind of have a system in place. So let's take a look at each one of these groups and how they differ in different ways to where you can approach them in a manner that maybe will give you the best chance to get involved. So let's go with the group that is getting ever smaller by the day, and that's the group that might not be doing what it is you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to conduct photo shoots for whoever it is. I mean, all ad agencies are doing this. They've been doing it forever. A lot of your top universities used to not be doing this when I was getting started doing this, and that made life both difficult and a little bit easier once I got the ball going. But to get the ball going, it took a little bit of convincing, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But and as you go down lower, probably to like some smaller schools, you might have more opportunities there, and then down to your high school level. But I'm finding more and more these days people have systems in place and are using photographers and having this type of work done. So you've got to kind of traverse what it is you find in front of you. But essentially, if they are not doing this type of work, you need to sell them on the idea of how it can benefit them for probably more like your marketing purposes, or it could be recruiting for a type of school or something like that, or brand recognition. They're all different ways. I mean, you just got to kind of dream up the angle that you can use to entice these people to bring you in and hire you. On top of that, it could be a situation where you might want to lower your normal rate to get in the door. I did this back in the day at the highest level, like for the NBA, some teams that were not currently doing photo shoots, which is hard to believe in this day and age. I approached them, with the concept of doing that and trying to show just what they get out, what the benefits are of having like a photo shoot with their players, and how that could impact marketing and all kinds of different things. But then at the same time, I knew that I couldn't give them a huge sticker price to come in there and do it without what I would say proof of concept of how it could work. And so in some cases, I would lower my rates to get in, show them, what I could do. And then the next time we came around, then I would go to the what would be like my full rate for something like that. And this was all discussed on the front end to where it wasn't a big surprise when the next year we came around and my price could have been possibly double what it was we did the year before. So overall, that group is going to give you probably your best opportunity. But like I said, that group is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we kind of move forward. And a lot of these organizations are already conducting photo shoots and doing that type of marketing. And so let's jump into that side. And that's where you've got to kind of make a decision on your end if you want to maintain, if you're going after like a freelance position with them, or a contract type of deal where you're going to go in and do the work and kind of move on and have other clients down the line where you can potentially be doing the same thing to build your business. Or are you looking for some type of a full-time position? They're both viable options, but I would say that each is a good bit different, and depending on where you are in your career and in life, some of those opportunities might not be worth it. So let's look at like a full-time position. And this, I feel like this category is starting to get larger and larger, where a lot of these teams are hiring in-house positions to handle their photo shoots, their media days, and that type of thing. And that's where you just really, you've got to kind of take in consideration where you are in your career and in life, like I just said, because a lot of these are almost like junior level positions in a sense, where there might be advancement within that position. But I've found that a lot of people that come into those positions, stay for a couple of years and then rotate out. And there's just a huge pool of aspiring photographers that are happy to fill that position. And when an employer has that large of a pool of people wanting a position like that, they don't have to pay you very much. So, I mean, if you're middle-aged and you got a couple kids and a family to, support, put food on the table with, I don't know if an entry-level position, 30 to maybe 50K is going to be what you're going to need to sustain yourself, depending on, I guess, where you are, that type of thing. There are other variables there too. I'm not an expert on that, but I'm just letting you know that you're not going to roll in and be at the top of the payroll for that organization. It just is what it is. It's kind of a younger person's game now. There's almost a full network of creatives, younger creatives, getting out of school, interning, going to smaller schools, I'd say, working their way there for a couple of years, and then moving to your larger schools, doing the same thing there, and then probably rotating out, either leaving the business because it is a churn and burn type of environment where you get used up. It's a tough schedule. Or they are rotating out and taking positions with agencies, or going on their own type of freelance, that type of thing, taking their experience that they've learned in the industry and trying to apply it somewhere else. Now, if you're coming in as a freelance kind of contractor, which is what I did a good bit, then what you're going to need is, once again, going back to finding the correct person to contact at any of these organizations. once you find the correct person, then you've got to market yourself to try and get a face-to-face meeting, or I guess this day and age you can do a virtual type of thing, but you want to get your work in front of them. And we're going to go back to the beginning too, where you've got to have work that's going to separate yourself from anyone else that is trying to do the same thing. And there's a big pool of potential photographers that are marketing themselves, against you. So I mean, there is competition. So that's where you got to kind of go back to what we talked about at the very beginning, to have a chance of getting in the door with these types of organizations. And it gets harder, the higher you go up to like your pro levels with teams that don't already have in-house at this point. The competition is going to be really stiff. So it goes back to the quality of your work. And then it's also, in this day and age, it's going to go back to whether or not the person really cares that much about quality. That is looking at your work. And that's something I feel like is really kind of changing here in the present time, where I would say probably since COVID that I feel like the quality of the work is not as important as it was before, and it's probably more reliant on what it's going to cost them to get this type of thing done. And it might be a situation where they know that they need to do something like this, and they're going to try and do it for the lowest number to affect their bottom line, regardless of quality. And there are examples all over the place out there. And that brings us back again to what we talked about. The very first question that I get in my inbox, why will they not hire me? Because the work they're using sucks. And that's just the hard truth of a lot of this, is the people that are hiring photographers, or they might not even be photographers. It could be just a graphic designer, someone that does their graphics, social graphics, that has a camera and can take pictures and maybe hang a light, that type of thing, and that's all they care about. There's a quick burn rate on the media that's put out there now, and it's the cycle. And back in the day, you would shoot an ad campaign that they would be buying usage for 6 months to multiple years on, and so the quality of that work needed to be top tier. Whereas now, a lot of this photography is being used online in a post that might be up for 6, 8, 12, maybe 24 hours. And so the investment that they're looking to put into a piece of content like that is just not going to be as great as it once was. And so that's kind of, I'm just seeing that a lot in the marketplace, especially since COVID, where a lot of these brands, teams, organizations, agencies had to kind of pivot during that period where there just wasn't access or ability to bring in people from the outside to do this type of work. So they just scrambled in-house and started just churning out work and getting just checking off boxes, or irregardless of the quality of that work. And people have gotten kind of used to it, and that's what we're dealing with now in a lot of cases. So in that line of thinking where price becomes so important, I have my own kind of set of ethics where I'm not going to undercut another photographer. So if I know that they are using someone primarily for their work, but then they like what you're doing, and you will have some unscrupulous people come to you and say, well, can you do it for X amount? And they're not going to say they're paying the other photographer a certain amount. And this is kind of up to you to get a grasp of the situation. And so if you grab that low-hanging fruit for a lower cost, and you're going to deliver, even if you're delivering higher quality than what they're using, I feel like that is the wrong way to go. And then that is where we all start racing down to the bottom in this industry, and they're getting away with murder on that end. And too many photographers are taking that bait and just going for that lower number. And for me, that's a no-go. And do I get a special plaque or badge for that? No, I don't. But I can sleep. I can live with myself, and I can sleep at night knowing that I'm not taking work from someone else just because I agreed to undercut them on price. So if that is not the case, and it is a situation where you might be able to provide higher quality for a potential client than what they're already using, but then they might have a contract with whoever they're working with, then it's just kind of a situation where you need to maintain contact with that potential client as best as you can. Keep sending them your work. Don't be a pest, but stay in touch on social media, emails, just every now and then kind of sending them something where your name is on the top of their list if something happens down the line with whoever they're using. Maybe they decide to move on, or they might mess up a job or something. You don't know. I mean, it could be a whole number of things, but the main thing is when they decide that they need to bring someone else in to fill those shoes, then hopefully your name is at the top of that list. And I can speak to that working in several cases where I was not going to, like I said, I was not going to take a lower price to come in and do something to undercut anyone else. But I did maintain contact with certain clients, and in some cases it was years down the road, and something happened, and they needed someone to come in and do some work for them. It might even be like a side project where you just have a chance to really get to know who it is that you're going to be working with. And once again, you've got to impress them with your work ethic, everything that goes along with that on-set demeanor, just being a fun person to work with and be around to where when they pick up the phone, it is your number they're dialing. So at the end of the day, it could really boil down to, is it cost they're worried about or quality, or somewhere kind of in the middle there, and that's just where you've got to navigate, and we are all subject to that. So I really can't help thinking back to the way things were like 15 years ago when I was knocking on a lot of doors, and I feel like a lot of y'all watching this are kind of working in like maybe the sports end of things, and none of these teams were doing what all of them are basically doing now. And it was I really couldn't, without being having a time machine and coming to this period of time and then going back, it's hard to get a grasp on how much things have really changed. So I just thought I would come on here and make this video. This is a little different than what I normally kind of do here. If you like this type of thing, let me know. Give this video a thumbs up. You want to see more content like this in the future, hit that subscribe button down there and the little bell. Let me know what types of videos y'all do want to see on here. Let's start a conversation down below if y'all would like to. I feel like I show a lot of the behind the scenes type work, and I'd like to kind of branch out a little bit more, maybe doing some of these industry type talk videos. If y'all find this of interest, please let me know with the comments down below. Find me on social media at quantzphoto on Instagram, as well as ProLight Mods on Instagram. Y'all stay safe and healthy out there, and I will see y'all again soon in the next one.